Welcome to this week's Reddit reply. Today we're going to talk about some newbie questions, Fantastic Four, and what situation defines your playstyle, right? What your playstyle is like, and much more. So let's pop over to Reddit. All right, so the first question is more newbie questions. I had my first go with Green Goblin Risky Business this morning and had a few questions. Thanks in advance. Interact damage. Can I put it all on my main count? I assume you mean character, or does it have to be split up? It can go all on your main character, like your main hero, if you want. But every single point of damage must be assigned somewhere, right? So imagine a situation without indirect damage for a second, right? The villain swings for 5. You have an ally that takes the block, and they have 2 life left, right? The extra 3 damage just gets absorbed by the ally. So all 5 damage is absorbed by this ally with 2 life. Indirect damage, you can have the same ally take it, but the other 3 damage must be absorbed somewhere, right? So it can't just be like taken in by the ally. All damage must be assigned somewhere. And also you can defend, right? A lot of people forget this, that you can actually defend, lower the amount of indirect damage, and then assign that indirect damage. Also, because I see this error made a lot, and I used to make this error too, is that indirect damage can take out an ally, right? A lot of people think that it can't take out an ally. It can, you just can't assign excess points of damage to that ally. So hopefully that makes sense. So again, in the same situation before, 5 indirect damage, an ally with two life left, they could take that 2 damage and get knocked out, but the other 3 damage must go somewhere. So hopefully that helps. Spider Sense Interrupt. Does this trigger even if an enemy is stunned? I assume they mean on Peter Parker, which states that when the enemy initiates an attack against you, you get to draw a card, right? Or something like that. So because the enemy never initiates the attack, the enemy replaces the attack with the stun status. They never initiate it, so thus you don't get to draw a card. So if they're stunned, you don't get to do it. And this is the same, assuming the meme with Peter Parker is like webbed up as well. If I use Spider Sense and then flip to Peter Parker, can I use the resource generator too? I don't know how you're flipping between them. I can't think of a situation how you would flip Peter Parker down. Yeah, no, that's not a thing. Maybe there's some crazy situation that can happen. Chat can let me, or comments can let me know, but I don't know that. If a villain has a face down boost card waiting to trigger and is stunned, are they discarded when the stun card is? No. So you have to resolve that boost card one way or the other. So if they get a boost card and they're stunned, and they wouldn't, and let me rephrase this too, they wouldn't get a boost card while they're stunned, right? Because a boost card happens later on in the order process of being attacked. So if they're stunned, they wouldn't get that boost card. But if they had a boost card from something else, then got stunned, the next time they activate, you give them another boost card, right? So they would have 2 instead. So it's kind of weird timing wise, but you just have to like know that. If Goblin is stunned but has pumpkin bombs, they trigger after the stun card is removed. They shouldn't, because I believe from pumpkin bombs, and we can look this up in 1 second, is that pumpkin bombs only activate after they attack. The response has to happen, right? And I don't think they actually like happen then. So let's go check that out really fast. All right, so here's the Pumpkin Bombs card so you can see it. States after the villain attacks you, discard Pumpkin Bombs and take 2 indirect damage. So because the villain never attacked you, the response can never happen, right? Again, remember that the stun card or confuse card, whichever you have, takes the place of the entire attack or thwart activation or scheming activation, right? It takes the entire place of it. So if it never happened, you can't do the thing. And I know like we get really caught up in a lot of this stuff of like, how do rules work and whatever. And generally speaking, it really helps to just take everything like almost as literally as possible. After the villain attacks you, did they attack you when they were stunned? No, because an attack has to actually make an attack process, right? So because they never attacked, they were stunned, you can't do the rest of this card. That rule doesn't always work, but I think it will help you for a lot of the things that people have issues for, is that just, again, take it as literally and then line by line as possible. If he never did the thing, then you can't do the after thing. Right? Hopefully that makes sense. All right, next one we have is a Fantastic Four discussion. It's my cake day, and I was hoping we could discuss some Fantastic Four. It's my second post on Reddit. I've been lurking for about 5 months. I got the Marvel Champions about 1.5 years ago, followed shortly by some individual packs and Rise of Red Skull box. Good job. It's a good one to get. Took a 6-month break while I focused on work and family, all that fun stuff, and I picked it back up recently, and now here I am with all the mutant wave to boot. A bunch of individual packs and a box on the way in the post. My favorite hero is Mr. Fantastic and the Fantastic Four, but I love almost all of them. So anyway, discussion. I know it could be a while, as there are a plethora of other characters they can make expansions for, but that doesn't stop me from wanting to speculate and or fantasize what the cards could behold. And I'm sure a lot of you eagerly waiting for Fantastic Four packs. What kind of villains and heroes are you eager to see in the box and or separate packs? What kind of cool art, blah, blah, blah. And they get into like different things and whatever. So will they add more Genius support, or the archetype received enough attention for Genius, which I do actually think Genius will get more of a buff for Fantastic Four. If it doesn't, it's kind of weird if it doesn't. If you were to design the heroes, what base stats would you give them? Besides Defenders box, what other group of heroes would you be excited for as a box expansion? And this question I actually leave open to the comment section, right? This is if you want to respond. Feel free to let me know down below. But as far as Fantastic Four expansion, I'm in the camp that actually thinks the next thing will either be a one-off with Fantastic Four or another one-off with Spider-Man. I know a lot of people want Defenders to happen. I think realistically you could do 2 Defenders boxes, maybe 3. And I think they're going to take a break. I think there's going to be like a little break in between. Not that I'm basing this off a pattern. It's literally gut instinct. That's it. And I've been wrong about a lot of things in the past, and I might be wrong about this too. But it's just my thought. That's just my general thought, is that I think they will do a one-off box, which I could see be Fantastic Four or Spider-Man, because there's still a lot of Spider-Man stuff left over for them to like do. But I think Defenders will be after that. I think Defenders is like the next big cycle to happen. It makes the most sense. Now, it could be next too. I think that'd be neat, but whatever. So as far as, do you think there will be more than one wave of them? Fantastic Four, I think, is going to be one wave. I think it's just going to be one. I know a lot of people that know Fantastic Four more than me swear there's a lot of heroes that they can pull out. I don't know. They got the Fantastic Four. I know people have argued Silver Surfer, maybe. Like, past that, like, I don't know Fantastic Four that well, but I feel like it's going to be a struggle. Maybe this is when they add a lot of villain packs. I don't know, because Fantastic Four does have some cool villains, so maybe that's what will happen. But anyway, as far as archetypes, I do think the Genius type will get more. I think that makes the most sense. I think Ariel is going to get more. There's a lot of Ariel stuff that happens there. Maybe something else. Who knows? It'd be cool if they started touching back on some of the old stuff to keep bringing those older heroes back up. I think that'd be great. So anyway, like I said, let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are of all of this. All right, what situation defines your playstyle and deck storage the most? Just curious to see how everyone starts their game and stores it when they're done. For those first 2 options, I put almost between the brackets, because in the core box only 2 heroes become pre-constructed and don't have enough cards to pull them, whatever. Okay, so pre-built Fantasy Flight game decks for almost all heroes as purchased, pre-built deck for almost all heroes, pre-built decks for a few heroes, pre-built aspect decks that can be mixed with multiple heroes, all aspects separated, assembled deck when you start. That's me. Everything is separated, and I like to kind of the way I roughly play, when people, I've seen people ask, like, or they've sent me messages of how I come up with like how I play series, right? Like, so if you haven't seen that recently, I'll put a card in the top or whatever. But how do I like come up with like how I play, like Valkyrie, for example? And honestly, it's really just like trial and error. I throw a deck together that I think that would be fun, and you play through the deck, and you take mental notes of like, while you're going through the deck, of like, what did I not play a lot of, right? What cards did I didn't play a lot of? What cards didn't get really a lot of use? What I kept passing over, right? And if you kept passing over them, or didn't get use, or they didn't work the way you thought they were going to, take them out and replace them with something else. And you just kind of keep doing that until you end up with a deck where, yeah, generally I was sitting there, I was like, ah, man, I really wish I could play this card, but this one's better. That's fine. But there are times like you literally draw a card and you go, there's no situation right now I would use this card, right? So you know to get rid of that card. And that's really what it is. And just work it down from there. A lot of people on the other end of the spectrum, they'll open up a pack and inspect each card, and they'll think about how that card works. I can't do it that way. I'm more of a trial and error person, which is a much slower, painstakingly, long way and painful way of doing things, but it's just the way I learned to do things. So anyway, that's how I do it. And as far as storage, everything just gets mixed in white boxes, and I hope for the best. All right, defending against minions. The rules cover defending against a main villain pretty clearly. If you choose to defend, exhaust your hero, subtract the defense stat against the boosted damage, that would be dealt. What I don't quite understand is whether you could also apply the same defense adjustment against minions. Are you still defending against each minion, or did you defend against the main attack from the villain and they are completely vulnerable? For some context, I was playing against Ultron Phase 2 form. When he attacks you and adds a drone, then drones are beginning to pile up. I chose to defend against him in the last 2 rounds and let an ally land the final blow. you're only making a specific defense, right? It's not cumulative defense. It's just one attack. You're defending against a attack. And that's the best way to think about it, is that, again, when you do an attack, like when you exhaust the thwart, you're not thwarting everything, right? You're doing a thwart somewhere, right? That's it. When you do an attack, you're not attacking everything on the board. You're doing a attack on the board. Same with defense. You're doing a defense on the board. That's it. That's the best way to think about it, is that every time you exhaust, you're doing it for that one time thing. Now, are there cards and different things that could stretch it out and have you do different things? Yeah, there are. But generally speaking, when you exhaust to defend, you're doing it for a defense. That's the best way to think about it. Instead of just like you're now defending, don't think about that, because you'll think about you're defending the whole time. Same as attacking. Like, you're not attacking everything, right? You're doing an attack, and now you're doing a defense. So that's kind of the best way to think about it, in my opinion. All right, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver appreciation. So I recently finished a Mad Titan Shadow campaign using Wasp leadership and She-Hulk aggression. It was pretty fun, but I felt like I was laboring through it at times, and turns just didn't feel that dynamic. I was even able to capitalize on Wasp alter ego with Shawarma and push the stalwart Loki and Thanos with the new interpretation in She-Hulk, but outside of a few huge She-Hulk turns, it just felt lacking. Campaign wrapped up, but I wasn't really sure where to go next. My last two experiences were this and the Abandoned Galaxy's Most Wanted run, and I wondered if the sheen was wearing off for this game. Anyway, I followed up with one scenario using Quicksilver, Protection, and Scarlet Witch Justice with some highly rated decks on Marvel CDB. Probably Turbo Witch, right? And all I can say is, wow, my love for the game has been completely reignited. Playing these heroes almost felt like a completely different game. Between all of Quicksilver's readying and Witch's consistent boost icon reactions, I had so much fun doing every turn. These heroes are so much fun to play and remind me of why I originally got hooked on this game. So recently on stream, this same thing kind of roughly happened to me. I had not played Quicksilver a long time, and chat over on twitch.tv/G20 Woodworking, where you should hit the follow button and be a part of it. Chat redeemed some points so that I had to play Quicksilver. And it's been a long time since I played Quicksilver, and I remember thinking, like, I didn't really enjoy him that much anymore. I was kind of like meh about him. And I got to play him again, and I played him in Aggression, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to play him. And I think for me personally, I get stuck in these ruts where, like, I play like the same, I think there's like 30 some heroes now, right? Or whatever there is, doesn't matter. But I play like the same like 15 to 20 heroes over and over and over. And I get bored of them. This happened with Gamora too. I got really bored of Gamora, and I kind of like, not that I solved Gamora, but like I had her pretty well figured out of what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do things. That she just got boring. And then I took like 6 months off of playing her, and then I went back to her, and now I love her again. I think she's so much fun. I think she's exciting, and it's a great time to play. I think that's important to recognize with yourself, right? As we get all these more and more new heroes, and we always want to play with like the newest, shiniest thing, don't forget about the old heroes. Don't forget about them, because they will help kind of reignite certain things. Now, are there issues with older heroes where they just don't click with your play style or your personality, how you want to do things? Yeah, absolutely. But I still think it's worth going back to old heroes and making sure to give them a fair shot. Like I said, I was shocked with Quicksilver how much fun that was to get back to. Scarlet Witch is always good, so I never get upset with Scarlet Witch. But I will say I play a lot less Scarlet Witch and Valkyrie on stream, because I don't want to get bored of those heroes, because I really enjoy playing them. They are some of my favorite heroes to play. So I know a lot of people have said that. Why don't you just play Valkyrie all the time, because she is so goated and so amazing? One, because I don't want to just easy the game constantly all the time, but then I would just get bored of her all the time, right? I think that's a part of the problem. And I think people have this issue with like Strange too, or other heroes, where just like it's their favorite hero for a time, and then they just kind of get bored of them. And it makes sense, right? If you play too much of one hero, you'll eventually get bored of them, because you figure out the best way to and again, I don't want to say like the best way to play that hero, but the best way for you to play that hero. So anyway, go back, play your old heroes, reignite that passion. All right, has anyone tried this? Hello, everyone. I was playing Iron Man, but building his armor each and every game is cool, but has anyone tried playing a campaign with him? And once you beat the villain, you just plop down the next villain and start from there. You keep adding acceleration tokens and side schemes for each game, but when you beat a villain, you remove acceleration tokens equal to the current stage you beat the villain on. And I tried it and was happy. Happy 4th of July and all. Wow, this was a while back. So the only problem with this is like the hard part of Iron Man is building him up, right? That's like the challenge of Iron Man. Now, the idea is a cool idea of just like, after you built up your hero, almost if you did it in a style of like, you started the game on standard, right? And after you finish the first scenario, the next villain you face is on expert, right? And then the next scenario is like heroic 1, and like you do like a three game campaign. Like that could be kind of interesting, that it gets progressively harder, and that might make up for like you already being built out. But with Iron Man just becomes so strong. So anyway, feel free to try things like this. I think fun things that let you experiment is cool, right? I think that's one of the cool things about LCGs, is that you can mess around with this stuff, especially Marvel Champions. Marvel Champions is very customizable, officially and quote unquote unofficially. You can do it however you want, but however you enjoy the game, go for it. But it'd be cool to like mess around with this idea. The idea like once you're built out, like maybe like you have to like repair a part of your armor, right? So like it starts in your discard pile, so you have to cycle through your entire deck before you can get that piece back, or something like that. I think there's some cool ideas of what you can mess around with that and make like a fun little mini campaign. I think that'd be neat. If you ever thought anything like that, like let me know that in the comments. Best multiplayer hero, in your opinion, who is the best or most fun to play as in a 4-player game besides Doctor Strange? Well, Doctor Strange is not on the list, so they don't have to worry about that. Obviously fun to play is subjective, so that could be really anything for anyone. As far as best to play, it's weird. I'll say it's weird because I haven't played many 4-player games, and I actually don't like 4-player games that much. I shouldn't say that. I think they're fine. Like I wouldn't want to do them all the time. And if you do, that's totally cool. But I think I get stuck in this mindset that like, oh, okay, I'm just like focusing on thwarting and that's it. And I know that's a very generalized way of looking at, like very generalized, but that's how it just like roughly feels. This is why I like true solo so much, because I feel like my hero has to be completely balanced. Two-handed I don't mind, because it allows you to be a little looser with everything, and you don't have to, your deck doesn't have to be like as good. But anyway, that's one of the reasons why I don't really care for 4-player game. And then that's kind of what makes it hard to say who the best hero is, because it's the best hero in whatever aspect you're doing, right? So you could argue that like Nova is one of the best heroes in like an all champions deck, or a champions table, because of Go for Champions or something like that could be played, or I guess Ironheart is a champion too, or whatever. I guess regardless, Go for Champions with a champion hero. I guess Miss Marvel would be another one. I think there's a 4th one. I don't remember off the top of my head. But right, that could be like a fun way to play for a little while. And then again, if you're like your protection, then it's like maybe Ghost Spider is really fun, right? Because like trying to figure out how you can defend for everyone would be kind of neat, or defend for most people. Like that could be interesting. If you're aggression though, it's not going to be Ghost Spider, right? It's going to be somebody else. So it kind of really depends. So I don't know if there is really a best or most fun. For me, when we play 4-player, especially on Nelson's stream, what I always like is that we try to keep it thematic, and to me that makes it the most fun, right? As long as like the theme is like making sense, and I think that's what brings out fun to me. Not necessarily the specific hero I am, but the hero as a group or as a whole. So anyway, that's kind of how I look at that. All right, last question. How would you guys feel about a Marvel Champions What If Zombies expansion box? Would it ever be worthy of an entire box? Would it be more appropriate to release as a one-off villain pack? What other what if stories would you like to see make an appearance in Marvel Champions? So what's interesting is, I'm not going to get specifics with what if, and I don't want to see zombies. I am not a zombie person. I don't get the fascination with zombies. I really don't. I've never understood it, but whatever, to each their own, that's fine. But I think the interesting thing with What If is that if this game continues to grow, what we're seeing is this game is growing a fair amount. Every time you peruse these Reddit threads, BGG, whatever, even on my own channel, you see there are new people entering the game all the time. Right. And that's just the people that are entering the game and finding these resources, right? Finding Reddit, finding YouTube videos, finding Facebook, whatever else, doesn't matter. There are other people out there that haven't done that. What you're seeing is that more and more people are entering this space in Marvel Champions. And it makes sense. Marvel Champions is it's a very good LCG system, in my opinion. It's very good because, again, with Lord of the Rings and Arkham Horror, like you're kind of stuck buying the whole thing, and it's a big expense. For Marvel Champions, yes, the core box can be a little expensive, though I think you can get on sale like a fair amount of times. And then you can just buy a hero pack that's like 15, 16 bucks, or if it's on sale for less, and then just play with that hero, right? And then if you want to get another expansion that you saved up a little bit for, you can get that, right? That's what makes this whole system so easy to get into. And the reason I say that that's important is because the ease of getting into a system versus Lord of the Rings, where you got to get the core box, which is usually like 70 bucks. Then you have to get like a whole expansion box and the expansion characters, which is like another $110. We're already at like $200 for like a full campaign, right? I know the core box comes with a small one, but like a full campaign, we're at like $200 some if you wanted the hero cards as well, or almost $200. It's a lot of money, $150. Marvel Champions is much, much cheaper, much easier, and it's more customizable. And the deck building is very easy. Like, things are very easy to get in, but it's hard to master, which is what's important. The reason I bring all that up is because what if, like the what if idea, can keep this game going indefinitely. Like, realistically, think about it. Like, yes, there are tons of heroes out there, and we get talking a lot about how, oh, like us as like big fans of the game, right? If you're watching this channel, you're probably a bigger fan of the game, is that, we'll buy any hero. It doesn't matter as long as mechanically they're fun. That could be true for people that are dedicated to the game, but that's not true for a lot of people, because a lot of people either aren't going to get into it or are just going to stop buying things. The out route is what if, right? Because what if you could bring Captain America back and give him the Thor's hammer, for example, right? You could change everything about the game and bring back old favorites and to fix them, Hulk. And doing so would keep the base energized for what's happening. I think this is kind of a really interesting concept with what if. And again, I think a lot of people talk about, like, when the game ends and whatever, and the game is going to end when it just doesn't become profitable anymore, or the designers get burnt out, like completely burnt out, and they don't hand it off to somebody else. And I think eventually they'll just hand it off to someone else, because I think this is going to keep printing money for a while. But what if will keep this series going as long as they feel like. It is unlimited what they could do with the What If series, which is really interesting. And it's really interesting they could bring back old heroes and how that plays in the thing. So I don't know. Let me know your thoughts about What If, but I know a lot of people are like worried about like what will be the end of Marvel Champions. And I don't care if it's the end, because I'll still buy any hero as long as it's mechanically fun. Again, I get a lot of people who do that. I don't think it will bring in more people. If you're not bringing in people, you're just slowly lowering your product base, right? You're lowering the amount of people that buy product, because over time people will be like, I'm not really interested in all these like C-tier heroes, right? So I'm just going to stop buying it. And eventually just making less and less and less. The way you continue growth of that, I think, is the What If, because you are going to run out of heroes eventually. So, all right, let me know your thoughts about that down below. All right, hopefully you liked this week's Reddit reply. We're like roughly doing them every other week now. It's not as frequent as it used to be, but maybe it will be soon. I don't know. But anyway, if you made this far in the video, do me a huge favor, hit the like button, hit subscribe. All that stuff really helps out. If you want to join the channel and help me out financially, you can. There's no pressure to, but just hit the join button. It starts at 99 cents, and the tiers move on up from there, and you get various things, and all that's really cool, including early access to a lot of videos on the We're Working Amateur tier. There's usually a bunch of videos on the back end that are ready to go, but you can only see if you're a member, and then you'll see them later on as general public. But anyway, if you are interested in my new series I've been doing, the How I Play series, it's been a lot of fun to put together, but recently I did Vision. You can see it right here. It was a fun deck to put together, and we'll continue this series for a while. And yeah, I will see you all next time.